Room. Ricky Ray returns to Edmonton next. It was an off-season trade for the ages, shaking two franchises to the core.
This trade at this point speaks for itself.
Edmonton banking on a younger, more mobile quarterback as they look to the future.
Now we have a premier quarterback in Ricky Ray.
Toronto landing the marquee quarterback that has eluded them for years. Tonight, a new era begins for two teams, and it's next. After 9 seasons as an Eskimo, even Ricky Ray admitted that this is not just a regular season game. He says all the attention is almost like a Grey Cup. For more on the Ray return, here's the guys who will call the game, Rod Black and Dwayne Ford.
Well, thank you very much. And yes, hello, Canada. Welcome to Ray Day in Edmonton, a town that's used to celebrating the return of great ones, but normally in hockey, Ricky Ray comes home.
Yeah, he sure does, and it's been obviously a great build-up to this since the day this trade was made, but particularly reaching ahead over the course of the last couple of days. The fans are excited, we're excited. Curious to see how everybody's going to react when Ricky Ray first takes to the field in double blue.
Very interesting that the home team was announced first. Ricky Ray will be announced very shortly. He was a guy who became a hero here in Edmonton in so many ways.
Yeah, no question. On the field, off the field, Ricky Ray, not just loved as a player, but a guy who is greatly respected. There's going to be a lot of emotion on both sides in this game today.
As we saw with Henry Burris last night wearing a Hamilton jersey, we see Ricky Ray in something other than green and gold. There he is in blue and white. Ricky Ray makes his return to Edmonton. Guys,
this is going to be fun. Dave Redorf, John Climby, Matt Dunnigan, and Chris Schultz. Ricky Ray's return. Now, you know, whenever a big trade is made in any sport, you certainly can't judge the trade on one game. This will take years before we can truly look back on this trade and see who won. But that's not how we do it here.
That's right.
So, based on tonight, who's under more pressure? Is it Ricky Ray? Is it Stephen Giles? Is it Eric Tillman, the guy who orchestrated this trade back in December?
David, Stephen Giles. You know, Ray's already been to the Cup with Edmonton 3 times, won it twice. Eric Tillman, this is what he does as a general manager, tries to play within the salary cap management system. It is Stephen Giles. You know, as a starter, he's making his 20th start tonight. He is 5-14. This is his 4th different team in 4 years. He's an unproven commodity. He has taken over the Edmonton Eskimo reins at quarterback, and their lineage there, I guarantee it, there's more pressure on this kid than Ray and Eric Tillman.
I have to disagree with you there, Matty. Eric Tillman right now must be wound so tight. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near Eric Tillman at this moment. Eric Tillman has had to deal with an entire offseason. He should have done us a favor and done this in about May. He's had to deal with this since December. Constant criticism, article after article in the newspaper. Hey, us here on the panel talking about it. Everyone on the streets talking about it and saying, Eric, are you crazy? He wants this game to show everybody I'm not crazy. I know exactly what I'm doing, and he is feeling the most pressure.
Pressure to me is about job security. So who has the most secure job? Ray's going to be there. Hey, if Toronto wins the Grey Cup, Edmonton finishes last place. Eric Tillman, not as secure as he used to be. Stephen Giles, you only have so many opportunities. But here's the other one. Kavis Reed. They got rid of his quarterback.
That's right. Yeah, I wonder what he thought of this whole thing.
What?
Eric, you want to do what? What? Really? How about a 5-year contract extension before we do this? Here's Ryan Rashog with Ricky Ray.
Ricky, you're known as such a calm, cool, and collected athlete, but you admitted yesterday you thought today might be a little difficult and it might be a little emotional for you in the hours leading up to the football game. How are you feeling?
I feel pretty good so far. I'm trying to keep myself calm, heading into pregame and just try and let it all out when the game starts. But, I've just been sitting in the locker room, and I think once I get out here and pregame warm-ups and once the game gets going, I'll start to adjust a little bit better.
Was it a little bit surreal sitting in that locker room for the first time?
A little bit. I'm just trying to keep my mind busy, doing my pregame routine and all that stuff to just try and keep my mind focused on what I'm going to do out there. But, it's going to be a special night. It's opening game of the season. I've got a lot of memories here too, so it'll just be a special night tonight.
Thanks for doing this, Ricky, and enjoy the night.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, bud.
It is my great pleasure to announce the 2012 starting quarterback for the Toronto Argonauts, Ricky Ray.
It's going to be nice to be exposed to a different way of thinking, a different offense, different philosophies, and just hopefully take my game to another level.
Thank you, Dave. Beautiful day for football. Rona Canada Day kickoff. Last day of June, day before Canada Day. Today in Edmonton, we call it Ray Day. Ricky Ray makes his return. The weather absolutely perfect. 24 degrees, mostly sunny here at Commonwealth Stadium. City that has spawned greatness at the quarterback position through the years. Great names like Jackie Parker, of course, Tom Wilkinson, the great Warren Moon, and Ricky Ray certainly helped carve his legacy here. 2 Grey Cup championships, and he comes back for the first time, first game, wearing a different uniform.
Yeah, amazing. Ricky Ray, who will one day see his name in green and gold up on that wall of honor. But first, he's got some business to take care of as a Toronto Argonaut. Of course, he'll go head-to-head with one of the men for whom he was traded, Stephen Giles. Completed last season under center for the Argos. He takes over a new era for the Edmonton Eskimos.
And also part of that deal was this young man, kicker Grant Shaw, now in green and gold. Chad Cackert and Chad Owens. The Chads are back to return. Ricky Ray will get a chance to get his offense on the field shortly if they can keep the ball on the tee. Toronto will get the ball first. Eskimos last year 11-7. The Argos 6-12, missing the playoffs. They begin the 2012 season, and away we go. Back over the shoulder catch is Chad Cackert to his 15-yard line. Runs into his teammate, and here comes Ricky Ray.
Well, we'll wait to see as Ricky Ray takes his first snap as a Toronto Argonaut, whether he is greeted by cheers or boos here in Edmonton. 2-time Grey Cup champion, of course, during his time in Edmonton. No doubt, with the 100th Grey Cup scheduled to take place in Toronto this November, a motivating factor behind his acquisition by the Argos.
So many games here as a member of the home side. Now as the enemy. First pass is a catch by Chad Owens. Sunshine on the far side. 1 for 1 is Ricky Ray. Such a high percentage passer through the years, of course. One of the very best. As we take a look at this Toronto Argonaut offense led by Ricky Ray and Corey Boyd.
Yeah, and Boyd, of course, will be a key second leading rusher in the Canadian Football League last season. He'll be counted on to keep some pressure off the quarterback. Some familiar faces will surround Ricky Ray, most notably Jason Barnes, who also came over from Edmonton in the offseason. Another key acquisition, Wayne Smith at left tackle.
Corey Boyd's first touch unsuccessful, and Rashad Genty is back in the CFL as a rush end. Genty, of course, played with the Eskimos almost a decade ago, and he's back in the CFL.
Well, to show you how much time has passed, his bookend back in those days was Joe Montford. Now he's still got another pretty good pass rusher on the other side. Marcus Howard had 11 sacks last season. Rookie of the Year finalist J.C. Sherritt is at middle linebacker. In the secondary, the only new face, Joe Burnett at the field corner.
We have flags on the play here. Bit of a timing issue. Somebody jumped. Looks like it's against the Argonauts. Andre Proulx is our referee.
Offside. Toronto number 2, 5-yard penalty. It remains second down.
Second down now and long for the Argos. There's new head coach Scott Milanovic, former quarterback in the CFL, NFL, NFL Europe, XFL, AFL, and of course the Montreal Alouettes offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach the last few years. Worked hand in hand with Anthony Calvillo. Another whistle and another flag. And there's Genty there wearing number 55. Looked like he jumped, but they're saying that the Argos drew Genty offside.
Yeah, like the veteran he is, Rashad Genty came up pointing at that offensive line, claiming there was movement. He appeared to be pointing at the left guard, Mark Parento.
Illegal procedure. Toronto number 57. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Mark Parento, starting lineup for Cedric Gagne-Marcoux. Here it is here.
And Parento rocked back in that stance, anticipating the count.
A lot of pressure on this O-line, minus Rob Murphy this year. Wayne Smith will protect the blind side of Ricky Ray. That's the idea, to protect their prized possession. Ray, far side, and over the head of Spencer Watt. So an unsuccessful first possession for the Argos. They'll boot it away.
Well, not the start, obviously, the Toronto Argonauts were looking for. Pinned deep in their own end, they're going to be giving the football back to Edmonton. Likely in pretty good field position, should be around midfield by the time this ball is returned.
Another former Eskimo came back to the Argos last year. Noel Prefontaine switches his number from 7 back to 1. Back to return for the Eskimos, number 83, Yamon Figures. Not a good kick, line drive kick, but it bounces down to Figures. Runs into the Argos. And here comes the guy who is Ricky Ray's replacement here in Edmonton.
Ricky Ray's replacement, but he won't be asked to be Ricky Ray. It'll be a different offense. That includes a change at running back. Hugh Charles takes over for Jerome Messam, the league's outstanding Canadian, is now a Miami Dolphin. Greg Carr, a big addition from Winnipeg. He should balance the field offensively, playing opposite the two slots, Stamps and Bowman. Simeon Retier, a free agent acquisition from Hamilton, bolsters the O-line.
A very green Toronto secondary. Giles' first pass is complete to Greg Carr, the towering receiver from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Out of Florida State, good acquisition for Eric Tillman and the Edmonton Eskimos.
And you look at the size that exists in this receiving core when you combine Bowman now with Greg Carr. And here's a matchup that we'll be watching for all day. You see Greg Carr facing another former Florida State Seminole, big defensive back, first-year player for the Argos, Patrick Watkins. It's a 6'6" receiver versus a 6'5" defensive back. Watkins is shifting out from his usual halfback spot to frequently play corner, but he's going to go wherever Greg Carr goes.
You can see some pick and roll, maybe some low post out there in the corner. Basketball power forwards. Hugh Charles gets his first touch. Plows for a couple yards. Let's take a look at the starting defense for the Toronto Argonauts. Our starting lineup's brought to you by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL and its 8 teams.
You look at that defensive front, 2 different tackles in there. Armand Armstead replaces Claude Roten, who was released in camp. Joseph Cohen in for an injured Kevin Huntley. All new linebacking core anchored by former Stampeder Robert McCune in the middle. And in the secondary, 4 brand new CFLers. Patrick Watkins, a former NFL veteran at halfback.
Giles out of the pocket, tucks it, and then tripped up near the 50-yard line, avoiding the oncoming Marcus Ball. So the Eskimos, too, will now have to kick.
Fairly typical of an opening week football game, both offenses likely running from a script for their first few plays, trying to determine what adjustments they're going to see. You never really know if a team is going to play completely differently than what they showed in the preseason.
Burke Dales, longtime Calgary Stampeder, makes the move north to Edmonton. A resident punter here. Ooh, almost had it blocked. Very good at angling kicks. There is Mr. Combined Yardage, Chad Owens, penalty flag on the play. 42-yard kick, 5-yard return.
That's a situation, Rod, where I would have liked to have seen Chad Owens just let that ball go and let it bounce into the end zone. Try and swing the field position here a little bit with the ball at your own 35.
Back-to-back 3,000-yard seasons for Chad Owens, Mr. Special Teams himself.
Illegal block. Toronto number 20. After distance to the goal. First down.
The field position doing absolutely no favors for Ricky Ray here.
As Ricky Ray gets in the huddle, they have a special message on the Jumbotron here. Ricky Ray's return. Trade made December 12th. Changed his career and changed his life. Says he will always have a special place in his heart for Edmonton.
I owe them so much. I mean, they don't owe me nothing. You know, they can boo me, do whatever. And it's me that should be cheering them. I mean, they gave me so much support over the years, and like I said, I mean, this is a great city to play for with great history, and you know, especially all the ex-players that are still hanging around that you talk to and all that stuff. So you know, definitely, I just want to thank them for all their support.
A lot of Ricky Ray green and gold jerseys. Emotional moment, I'm sure. Tough to swallow it up, suck it up, and get back to playing football again, especially when you've got a 105-yard drive ahead of you for Ricky Ray. And after that standing ovation, the boos come out. No longer an Eskimo. Corey Boyd up the gut, only a couple of yards.
Well, and that was exactly as it should be. The fans having an opportunity to say thank you, Ricky Ray having an opportunity to acknowledge them for their years of support. And now they can go back to being loyal Edmonton Eskimo fans and booing whoever's wearing the other colored jersey.
One of the most celebrated franchises. Lived up to its name, City of Champions, through the years here in Edmonton. Ricky Ray lost the football. Whistles have blown. Marcus Howard picked it up. Looked like Ricky Ray wanted to throw it or maybe pump fake and then just lost the handle, Dwayne.
Yeah, and quickly ruled incomplete, but this is going to be the question for the Toronto Argonauts this season. Everybody wondering how this offensive line is going to hold up. They provided the protection on the play, but again, the receiver's just unable to get open on that one. Looked like he might have been looking to running back Corey Boyd here. He got jammed coming off the line.
So in the end zone, Fontaine, a much better kick this time, spiraling kick to Figures. Instant field position for Stephen Giles and the Edmonton Eskimos. Scoreless. Day 2, night 2 of the CFL season for 2012. Saskatchewan and the BC Lions opening up last night, opening night with wins, and Stephen Giles and the Edmonton Eskimos looking to follow suit against the Argonauts today. And there's Hugh Charles.
It'll be a different look to that Eskimo running game this year. Obviously, Jerome Messam, 245 pounds, a big banger between the tackles. Hugh Charles, a little more of a flash and dash guy. But also picking up the slack, bear in mind, is now you've got a running quarterback in Stephen Giles, and no doubt there are going to be some plays called on the ground for him.
Such a great season for Jerome Messam. Last year, standing Canadian. And that looked like it was offside, way offside. Marcus Ball jumping into the backfield. Question is, was he drawn? Former Memphis Tiger.
Offside. Toronto number 6, 5-yard penalty. First down.
There is such a new look to this Argonaut defense this year. So many new faces, especially in the linebacking core, those incumbents that we've got to know through the years. And of course on the sideline, a new defensive coordinator, the guru, Chris Jones. First and 10. The Argo 41 to Giles. Deep drop. Slings it to the sideline and unable to hang on.
Again, trying to work that matchup on the weak side, getting Greg Carr involved. Here it is again, Patrick Watkins matched up.
Giles predominantly a backup through his CFL career. Began, of course, in Edmonton, then to Saskatchewan, Winnipeg, and then last year Toronto got a chance to start as the starter here. Out of the backfield is Charles. Takes a look, head down. Stopped in his tracks. Well short of the first down.
A nice job by the Argonaut defense here, giving up only the underneath passes. Going to see everybody drop off in coverage, wait for the ball to be thrown. Took away anything from first down yardage and beyond, and then just came up to make the tackle. Classic Chris Jones defense as you see all those white jerseys swarming to the football.
So Grant Shaw, the former Argo, part of that Giles Ricky Ray trade. 44-yarder here to put the Eskimos on the board. Kick is up. And it's good. Just squeezes it through. Grant Shaw's first attempt as an Eskimo is good. Edmonton on the board. Christmas came early for the Toronto Argonauts last December when they got Ricky Ray from Edmonton. Let's go down to the sideline now and join Ryan Rashog.
Yeah, Rod, when Scott Milanovic first got wind of the fact that Ricky Ray might be available via trade, the first thing that he did was start poring over tapes of Ray's games last year, looking for any deficiencies, any holes in his game, trying to figure out why he might be available via trade. He said he found absolutely nothing. They feel his game is absolutely rock solid. They're not worried about the durability, and in their minds, there was absolutely no risk whatsoever in making this deal. So Ray off to a start here with the Argos. We'll see how it goes in game number 1, Rod.
All right, thank you, Ryan. Grant Shaw, former Argo against his ex-mates. First kick was good, so 3-0. Deep kick again. Shaw's got a ferocious leg. And here is the flying Hawaiian. Chad Owens smothered near the 33-yard line on a 33-yard return. There's the head coach, and there's Ricky Ray and all those numbers that he put up here in Edmonton.
Yeah, and you see it at the bottom, ranking first in Edmonton Eskimo history in all 5 categories. That's saying something when you consider some of the quarterbacks who preceded him in green and gold.
Not a reach for Scott Milanovic as well to have a touch passer, a pocket passer, very similar to the guy he just worked with in Montreal.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of similarities to Calvillo.
Ray over the top. Fumbled football. Edmonton has
it. This is going to be a close call as to whether or not the receiver's knees were down before the ball came out. His upper body hadn't touched the turf yet. We'll have to watch closely for the knees here.
Over the middle.
It's the fullback, Jeff Johnson. And it looked like this fumble is going to stand. It looked like the ball came out before his knees went down. There's the loose ball. Knees are still up. Absolutely a fumble. A recovery for Rod Williams.
Rod Williams last year. Outstanding season again for the Eskimos. West Division All-Star. First fumble recovery. First turnover of the game. Play action. And out of the backfield. Nice play there for the Edmonton Eskimos. Zadarius Bowman hauls it in, picks up about 3 or 4 yards.
And the Argos had their ears pinned back on that when you saw the pressure coming hard off the edges. Quick release for Stephen Giles to get it in the hands of Zadarius Bowman. Good support from the secondary with Pat Watkins coming up on the tackle.
Outstanding year last year for Bowman. Over 1,000 yards receiving. 4 touchdowns, 62 grabs. Most of those from Ricky Ray. Giles is in trouble, throws it to the sideline, and there's Bowman again. Stephen Giles makes something out of nothing. For a moment, it looked like he was just chucking that out of bounds.
Well, the Argos end up in kind of a soft zone here, leaving a couple of pockets for Edmonton's receivers to get open. Bowman lines up, starts on the outside, and then works back out. And it's on the scramble. He's got a little bit of room to fade away. Dropped in nicely by Stephen Giles.
There's Charles, right side. Slashes his way to the 20. Edmonton Eskimo team that last year under their head coach, Kavis Reed, really startled the CFL, like the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the East, got off to such a great start. Finished with an 11-7 record, tied for first in the CFL West. Eventually, because of the tie-breaking format, finished second. Got to the Western Final.
Yeah, terrific head coaching debut for Kavis Reed, guy who became well known for his pregame speeches a year ago.
This was great. Looking to the end zone and unable to hang on. Look out over there. There's that matchup we talked about, the two power forwards, Carr and Watkins. The bystander over there took the biggest hit as Watkins went sliding through the end zone.
And there's the matchup up top. Watkins trying to get hands on, but they're just trying to use the height of Greg Carr, looking for that jump ball. Well thrown ball from Stephen Giles, but with Pat Watkins hanging on that left arm, Carr only had the right to go after the football.
Dangerous play, both players all right. Brad Shaw to clean up here. Another field goal attempt. 27-yarder is up and good. Brad Shaw so far. The ex-Argo makes it 6-zip. AM Pacific on TSN and TSN Mobile TV. Your pick is?
I don't have a pick.
Do you even like soccer or football? You like football.
Well, this is football.
Okay.
This is football. I like soccer. I have great appreciation for it, but I'm not cheering for anybody. I just hope to see a good game.
There we go. It's on tomorrow. Ricky Ray will get back on the field momentarily, and it has been a kicker who's done the damage so far, Grant Shaw. Here's Owens again from his 5-yard line. Looking for a wall. Owens scoots up near the 40-yard line. Good return. So here comes Ricky Ray again, and as we said earlier, it was back in December when his career was sent east.
I had no choice in it, and you know, I'm just thankful for my time here, and you know, I've had a lot of great support. It's a great place to play in the CFL. You know, great city, great fans. You know, a lot of tradition and history with this organization, and you know, so it was, you know, it means a lot to me to play here.
Corey Boyd silenced again. Boyd's only had a couple touches so far. That one out of the backfield. Versatile back, all-star again for a second straight year. So far, Ricky Ray, always a high percentage for Ricky Ray. 3 of 5 so far.
And if there's one thing that's been questioned about Ricky Ray is whether he's been too cautious in protecting that percentage. They want him to be more aggressive with the deep ball.
He does this time. Dontrell Inman goes up and comes down with the football.
Inman getting an opportunity to play here because of one of Ricky Ray's old targets from his Edmonton days. Maurice Mann is still injured, but Inman shows why the Argo staff was impressed with him in training camp. Nice acrobatic catch there from the rookie out of Virginia.
So spent some time last year with the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's an outstanding catch in his first game in the Canadian Football League. Dontrell Inman. Chad Cackert, the bulldozer, around the left side. Marcus Howard looked like he had a bead on him. Cackert got some positive yardage, but just over the line of scrimmage. He was the guy a year ago, Dwayne Ford, that kind of shocked Jim Barker and the Argos brass and played so well in the preseason they had to keep him around.
Yeah, they sure did, and got an opportunity to play when Corey Boyd was banged up during the regular season. I know a lot of people would have loved to have seen a combination of Cackert and Boyd in the backfield together at times last year, but it was never materialized.
Found the end zone a lot. Ray dodges one, in trouble, down he goes. A midfield strike, Ricky Ray. Marcus Howard there, Donna Remission.
You've got those two defensive ends to worry about. Rashad Genty tightens up inside. Marcus Howard coming off the other edge. See Genty, the first one to force Ray to step up. Marcus Howard there to clean things up in the end.
2 rush ends do the job so far. Ray and the Argos offense has been unable to put any points on the board. Bouncing kick again down to Figures. Is it a no yards call? There's the flag. So no yards on the play. Stephen Giles will bring his offense back on the field. Final 2 minutes plus here in this opening quarter. All the talk, Dwayne, about Ricky Ray and going to Toronto, and all the criticism and heat that Eric Tillman, the general manager, took here. Stephen Giles quietly in the background, confident in his abilities, saying that he could be the guy here.
Yeah, and I think that there's a side to things that a lot of people aren't looking at. And, you know, I mean, obviously Eric Tillman has a pretty good record as a Canadian Football League GM, but even if you want to look at this trade specifically, or the trading of a prominent quarterback out of town.
He's done it before.
Well, you look at the Kerry Joseph trade, and yeah, there was criticism over that. But at the time, there's a huge risk, but it's a calculated risk. And what I mean by that is, consider the quarterbacks that Eric Tillman had in Saskatchewan at the time when he made that trade, that not a lot of people had heard of at the time. Darian Durant.
Legal procedure, 6 men on the line of scrimmage, Toronto. That penalty is accepted. This is a 5-yard penalty. No yards. Toronto number 8. Penalties declined. 3rd down will be repeated. 5 yards back.
Well, you look back, a lot of people at the time hadn't heard of Darian Durant, Stephen Giles, Drew Tate, also on that Saskatchewan roster at the time. Eric Tillman had some aces up his sleeve. All 3 of those guys now Canadian Football League starting quarterbacks. And let's wait and see how Stephen Giles and some of the other young guys here pan out before we completely crucify Eric Tillman over this trade.
Well, as always in any trade, there's an emotional attachment and reaction. I think that brought to the Eskimo fans. This is a bad kick. Shanked by Noel Prefontaine. And it was out of bounds in the air between the 20-yard line. So this is going to be outstanding field position. Add those other penalties here. The illegal procedure and the no yards plus that bad kick.
Toronto number 1. 10-yard penalty will be enforced from where the ball went out of bounds. 1st down.
All of this and good field position again for the Eskimos.
Prior to all those penalties, that had been the first possession in this football game where the Toronto Argonauts had actually sort of shifted that field position battle. It's been very one-sided with the ball in Toronto's end throughout the first quarter of this football game.
Giles, far side, penalty flag flying near the midfield stripe. Ray Carr has been the primary target so far. Stephen Giles hasn't looked towards Ricky Ray's favorite target here, Fred Stamps, but I'm sure we'll hear from Fred Stamps in this game probably shortly.
Offside.
Game changer.
Edmonton number 18. That penalty's declined. 2nd down.
Carr got a quick jump offside.
Well, Carr and Giles would of course have some history from working together in Winnipeg in 2010. Sometimes, whether intended or not, can be a little bit of a tendency to lean on your security blanket, the guy with whom you're comfortable.
2nd and 10. Charles out of the backfield and short of the 1st down, only gets half the yardage. Joseph Cohen lost his lid but made the tackle. A lot of kicking going on here in this first quarter. 2 teams playing it cautious, trying to get in sync.
Again, this is to be expected in week 1 of the season. 2 teams with new starting quarterbacks. One of those teams with a new head coach and new offensive scheme.
Burke Dales from his 40. Chad Owens camped out near his 10-yard line.
Let him go. Let him go. Let him go.
Owens on the fly. And he could fly here. Just couldn't get the edge. Good blocking scheme, and Ricky Ray comes out again trying to get something going offensively. His old coach naturally misses his old QB.
It was very difficult when I watched the first preseason game against Hamilton. I thought they assigned a new kid, like, who's this number 15 guy? Obviously, Ricky meant a lot to this community and to this franchise, and I have a professional fondness for Ricky. I also respect him as a man, what he stands for in life. It is going to be tremendously difficult to see him in another color, another uniform.
Ray, good protection this time, and almost intercepted. Weldon Brown, 5 picks last year, almost had #1 of 2012. Ricky Ray struggling right now, his offense struggling.
And Ricky Ray took a pretty good lick. Here, pocket collapsed on him. Buried by Big Ted Laurent just as the ball was thrown.
Looking for Chad Owens. Eskimos secondary, one of the best in the CFL last year. Interceptions. And again, great coverage, but this time a little too close.
Chris Thompson will draw the flag there, working against Chad Owens.
Pass interference, Edmonton number 92. This is a 10-yard penalty. First down.
Eskimo defense very proficient last year. Dwayne, points per game, 22.3. That was second only to the Grey Cup champion BC Lions. 39 quarterback sacks, 24 interceptions. Only the Winnipeg Blue Bombers had more. 25. Now, good blocking is Owens. Owens cutting back. Swarmed under by a group of green and gold near his 48-yard line. That's the final play of the first quarter. The Argonauts and Ricky Ray silenced. 6-0 Edmonton. First quarter numbers from Commonwealth Stadium brought to you by Rona, proud partner of the Canadian Football League and its 8 teams.
On a pretty pedestrian first quarter,
yes,
offensively speaking, for both these two teams. But again, we mentioned it just moments ago, you've got two teams with new starting quarterbacks, some new receivers in the lineup. The Toronto Argonauts in particular, a new offensive scheme, a new head coach. It's going to take a little bit of time for things to start to gel and before we can really start to evaluate who won the trade.
I was going to mention this game's going to take a while to start moving, but also when you look at trades, you always think about who wins. And when you got a marquee name like Ricky Ray, and again, we talked about the emotional attachment of this city and the fact that he did such great things here, people start quickly to point to winners and losers in a trade. And as we've often seen, it takes a while to evaluate a trade correctly.
Yeah, it's a much bigger picture than just the names that you see.
Also muffled so far, Corey Boyd. As you mentioned, I mean, just not, you know, the big names, but also the draft picks, which were significant, and cap space.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing, when you look at assets gained and lost in trades, one thing that nobody ever mentions but is critical in a league with a salary cap is cap space. By trading Ricky Ray, the Edmonton Eskimos add cap space that allows them to go out in free agency and add Greg Carr at receiver, Simeon Routier at offensive guard, Kerry Koch at receiver. You've got to factor those things in. And are they a better offense or as good an offense with Ricky Ray, but without those guys as the other side?
Yvonne Figures, former NFLer, Baltimore Raven draft pick, up to the 25-yard line. What a season, what an off season like no other. The shockwaves being felt, and Henry Burris, of course, moving. We had quarterback changes in 4 cities, head coaching changes in 4 cities.
Yeah, a huge off season when you consider an 8-team league. So many significant moves being made. You know, and that's not even getting into some of the guys who moved via free agency, including Andy Fantuz.
Of course, it's all begun here. Canada Day weekend, the Rona Canada Day kickoff on TSN last night. today and tomorrow. Penalty flag back at the 21-yard line on the Hugh Charles carry. The Eskimos, again, one of those seasons last year, as we take a look at Giles' numbers last season with Toronto when he was anointed as the starting quarterback. What a year for the Argonauts in their quarterback situation. It became a soap opera after a while, especially the Cleo Lemon odyssey.
Well, offside. Toronto number 5. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Well, it was the end of the Cleo Lemon era that was where things became most mysterious. Somewhat bitter departure for a man who had been the Argos starting quarterback for a year and a half.
Argos did end the season on a positive note, won 3 of 4, but well out of the playoffs. Charles, left side, looking for the first down marker. Come up short. Question is, how short? Stephen Giles looks to the bench. They're going to bring out some big bodies. Calvin McCarty and Mathieu Bertrand. So second and short yardage here.
Hey, over here! Come on!
Giles behind center this time. Calvin McCarty. He's a guy who just flies under the radar, doesn't he? And has for so many seasons.
An unsung hero within this offense, a guy who you can plug in there and not lose a lot in terms of production over the course of his 6-year career. Jerome Messam, there you see the rushing numbers. Far and away the Eskimos' leading rusher, a guy who combines speed and power for them. Not to mention the fact that he was a ratio breaker for them. The Eskimos have been forced to juggle going with 4 Canadians on the O-line this year to offset his loss.
Giles now scrambles and will slide to the 45-yard line, just short of first down. Yeah, lost in all the talk radio and all the discussion about Ricky Ray. The biggest loss for the Edmonton Eskimos in the offseason had to be Jerome Messam.
And that combination, when you look at what the identity of the Edmonton Eskimos offense was, obviously number 1, Ricky Ray, no question about it, as he had been for a decade. But Jerome Messam became a big part of it last year, kind of providing some balance for Ricky Ray in the passing game.
Second short yardage again. Once again, same play call. Back to the Surrey, BC native, Calvin McCarty. Well, we flash back to number 23, released by the BC Lions, found a home in Edmonton and started opening up lanes and finding end zones with the Eskimos.
Yeah, breakout season for Jerome Messam as he finally got an opportunity to display the talent that people have long known that he possessed.
First and 10 now, Edmonton, 6-0 here, second quarter. Giles keeps, rolls. Bowman open on the boundary. There he goes, Adarius Bowman down to the 25-yard line. He was wide open. They kind of forgot about Adarius Bowman on the corner.
So much of the attention has gone to Greg Carr offensively in the first half of this football game. But Bowman, the big target on the other side. Guy who finally had a breakout here. Developing some consistency last season as he moved from wide receiver into the slot. You don't expect it from a guy that big, but he is terrific after the catch as well.
Giles shotgun again, first and 10. Close to the red zone. Far side, Nate Kuhorn, former Calgary Dino.
As the Edmonton Eskimos under Eric Tillman start to rebuild their Canadian talent. You see Nate Kuhorn, a first-round pick a year ago. He's the #1 receiver on this play, closest to the sidelines. Had a 100-plus yard game in week 2 of the preseason. First-round pick in 2011, getting a chance to start this year.
5th overall, Giles has to let it go, sidearm. penalty flag back near the 12-yard line. And the Argos were in that backfield so quickly. Did someone jump here?
Offside. Toronto number 23. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Newcomer T.J. Williams, one of the 4 new defensive backs under Scott Milanovich in the Argos. So now first and goal. Eskimos hovering near the end zone. There's Kuhlhorn. Wide out here. Hand off to Hugh Charles. Charles, right side to the end zone. Touchdown! Backflip! A la Gizmo, they love it here. Hugh Charles, his trademark.
Just a great cutback by number 7, Hugh Charles, on the play with all the flow offensively going to the left. He redirects, and with that speed, no one else was able to recover with him.
Good job, baby.
All Eskimos in this first half. Grant Shaw supplying 2 field goals, and now a point after on the Hugh Charles scamper to the end zone. Flipping out, 13-0. The first touchdown of 2012 for the Edmonton Eskimos belongs to that man.
And Hugh Charles, again, with that cutback, providing the speed, that different dimension to the Eskimos' run game, allowing them to punch it into the end zone for their first major of 2012.
13-0. Eskimos. Shaw the kickoff. Under 10 to go before halftime. The Argos have done nothing offensively. Chad Cackert pulls his way over the 40, and his ex-teammate Grant Shaw makes the tackle. So good field position now for Ricky Ray, but let's take a look at this 9-play, 85-yard drive.
Well, the Eskimos ate up over 4 minutes on the clock. The big play, Stephen Giles to Adarius Bowman, the big receiver, down the sideline. Following a Toronto Argonaut penalty, that set up the touchdown by number 7, Hugh Charles.
Well, the Argos get good field position here. Ricky Ray's been pretty much in the shadows of his goalposts this entire first half. And Chad Owens lunging for a first down. Looks like they'll mark it there. Should move the sticks, they will.
But one of the guys with whom Scott Milanovich had some familiarity coming over from Montreal to Toronto was Chad Owens, who began his CFL career as an Alouette. One of Milanovich's big goals offensively is to try and get the ball into Owens' hands in space. A guy who's best known as a kick returner. Going to try and take advantage of those skills.
Ray to his right, in trouble, and loads, and it gives it to Corey Boyd, and Corey Boyd's had a bullseye on his back. Mentioning Chad Owens, one of the things too, Chad Owens is known as one of the most dangerous returners in the game, a guy who can take it back at any time, and he's a very good receiver. Chad Owens did not have a touchdown receiving in 2011.
Well, that was kind of the story of the Toronto Argonauts season, was they had a lot of trouble with their passing game, particularly when it came to getting the ball into the end zone.
Second and 11. Here's the rush again. Look out, Ricky Ray throws it up, and a well overthrown. Looking for Owens. Ricky Ray getting a lot of pressure again. That is referee Andre Prue on the sideline being attended to right now. He got hit on the field. Try to provide an update. As we have seen before, and Dwayne, you know, you played at this level. It is very dangerous sometimes to be in the middle of the action. Michel Pizano takes over as referee. Wearing black and white. Line drive kick here. Prefontaine, nicely done, angles it. The Argos down 13-0 at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. We're back in Edmonton. Ricky Ray's return. There was also a change at the top of the shop in Edmonton this season. With more, let's go down to Ryan Rashad.
Absolutely, Rod, with new Eskimo president Len Rhodes. Len, your first 2 weeks on the job, you were part of the decision to trade Ricky Ray. I know you monitored fan reaction closely. What was your sense of the reaction, and what do you think of the reaction today?
Well, Ricky's a class act, and I expected the fans to give him a good reception, and I'm very happy it's out of the way. Now it's Stephen Giles' time to shine.
Talk about what's happening in the stands. I understand fans here in Edmonton will be treated to some better seats soon.
Yeah, starting the end of July, Ryan, what we're going to do is we're going to upgrade all the seats. It's a 1.5-year project. We're replacing 58,000 seats. They're going to be 2 inches wider, have cup holders, and it's going to upgrade the whole stadium. The original ones were here since 1978. It's really going to change the whole outlook of this whole stadium.
Len, thanks for taking time to talk to us today. Enjoy the season.
Thank you, Ryan.
All right, Rod.
Len Rhodes, new president of the Edmonton Eskimos. You saw Fred Stamps make his first catch. 7 minutes to go before halftime. And as the president just said, this is Stephen Giles' era now. His ball to throw with it. There is Kerry Cope.
A nice one-handed stab by the former Saskatchewan Roughrider. One of those free agents that we mentioned that the Eskimos acquired with the added cap space this offseason.
There's a nice grab by Kerry Coke. Comes over from the Saskatchewan Roughriders, 2 seasons there. There you see the numbers, 3 touchdowns as well. First and 10, Giles. Now Fred Stamps with running room. Stamps shuffles out to the 35-yard line. Seeing a lot of outlet passes, little hitch passes now from Stephen Giles.
Quick hitting offense. They've had Hugh Charles involved so they can start to work some of the play action. You're also starting to see more receivers get involved after a disproportionate number of passes, you could say, going to Greg Carr and Adarius Bowman early on.
First and 10. And Hugh Charles. Ricky Foley brings him down, and we can update Andre Prue. And I understand that maybe suffering a little heat stroke. Hot one today. So he will be attended to. Back in the clubhouse. Second and 4. And Hugh Charles stuffed right there. 2 yards shy of a first down. That will bring out the kick team again.
A couple of first downs posted by the Edmonton Eskimos. It seems like their offense first to sort of find its mark, find its groove here in this football game. The Toronto Argonauts still trying to get everybody on the same page.
Teams, of course, played 2 preseason games and had to make some decisions. A lot of new faces on both sides. Takes some time.
In a lot of cases in those preseason games, you're not seeing the starters play more than a total of 3 quarters of football through those 2 weeks.
Dale's kick bounds out at the 25-yard line. It's 13-0. Esk Ricky Ray next. One of Mark Trestman's trusted assistants, Scott Milanovich, makes the move from Montreal to Toronto.
With him, he brings a very impressive resume as an offensive coach. You see the numbers based on last season, first in the CFL in points, yards per game, passing yards, and time of possession. You can imagine why folks in Toronto are excited about the prospect of a season with Scott Milanovich and Ricky Ray teaming up.
He's 38 years old, Scott Milanovich. Corey Chamberlain we saw last night, Saskatchewan Roughrider coach, 35, got his first win. Scott Milanovich last night, I'm sure, was watching his old buddy as well, a guy he used to throw passes to at the University of Maryland.
Yeah, the Terrapin pride for his old partner in crime, his battery mate G-Roy Simon. And congratulations from us to the CFL's new all-time leading receiver.
Couldn't happen to a nicer guy, G-Roy Simon, last night, with the guy he passed, Milt Stiegel, in attendance and counting for him. Andre Dury with his first touch and bursts for a first down. Andre Dury is such an important part of this Toronto Argonauts offense.
Dury had been banged up a little bit through training camp. The Argos weren't sure they were going to have him in the lineup here today, but his versatility, you see him line up in the backfield on that play. Versatility, run the football and be a threat as a receiver. Critical component in this scheme.
Scat back, dual back, 1st and 10. Corey Boyd has come up empty here so far today. Behind some of his new hogs up front. Corey Boyd just can't find any openings right now.
So much of the focus has been put on Ricky Ray in terms of what's different in the Toronto Argonaut offense. Rod, you mentioned that offensive line, the changes that they've made. 3 new starters. I always maintain as a 5-man group, the offensive line, like the secondary, chemistry and communication are key. Those guys need to get comfortable together.
Argos jumped offside. Might have been former Eskimo Jason Barnes. Looked like it was offside against the Argonauts. There's Jason Barnes. He and Ricky Ray formed quite a tandem here as well. One of his outlet receivers when he was with the Eskimos. Comes over to Toronto. Michel Pizano now takes over from Andre Proulx. Eskimos trying to decide what to do here. Don't have a microphone on Michel, so we'll go with the hand signals. Good to know those.
The key signal there was 2nd down,
yes,
not 3rd.
Likely another throwing down here for Ricky Ray. Hasn't been quite the return he wanted yet. Ray stands in, has time, and there's a penalty flag, likely holding. Throws it into the Argo bench. Jarius Jackson makes the catch, but he's the backup quarterback, and he's not playing right now.
Just nobody able to get open for Ricky Ray on that play. The offensive line provided pretty good protection, gave Ricky Ray time, but nothing developed in the route downfield.
Dwayne, you've been around this game for such a long time as a player, and you know you've been around great quarterbacks as well. I mean, it's not instant magic for any quarterback at any time. Think about the young quarterbacks coming into the game and trying to forge their career, but even for a veteran, an experienced guy, working now with different receivers, not quite like it used to be, and it's going to take some time.
No, exactly, and Ricky Ray had worked with his go-to guy, Fred Stamps, for a number of years in Edmonton. I mean, there's a reason why over the last 3 seasons, Fred Stamps was right there with the likes of Jamel Richardson and G-Roy Simon as the most prolific receivers in the Canadian Football League. It was because of a relationship built over some time.
And similarly, Fred Stamps is going to take some time with Stephen Giles to get that same chemistry. Eskimos with a timeout here. Should get a play off before the 3-minute warning before halftime. All Eskimos pitching a shutout so far, 13-0. Argos barely moving the football in their 2012 debut. Ricky Ray with a check down here. Now sends them. catch again. Over the middle. The catch made by Jason Barnes. Back in Edmonton as well. A homecoming for him. First down, Toronto. That's the 3-minute warning. We'll step aside and come back. Jason Barnes, his first catch as an Argonaut. Another June has almost come and gone, and another June where the Edmonton Oilers select number 1 and Nail Yakupov becomes the newest number 1 Edmonton Oiler. I'm not sure how much of a football fan he is, but why don't we find out? Here's Ryan Rashog.
Yeah, thanks, Rod. With Nail Yakupov, it's your first professional football game that you've seen live. I know you've watched a little bit on TV. What do you think of the live game?
It's real. It's great. You know, it's my first time. It's a pretty interesting game. It's pretty tough, so I'm excited.
I know soccer is your other love, but if you were to play football, Nail, which position would you want to play?
Quarterback.
Want the attention, eh?
He's smart. I think he's top player in the team. I think it's really great.
You're in town for the Oilers development camp. Millennium Place was packed for your first practice. How has the reaction been from Oiler fans since you've arrived?
First, when I see it first time, it was shocking because I thought it's going to be just 10 or 20 people there, but it was full rank, and I'm pretty excited. I want to say hi and thanks for the fans. They support us, and it's pretty great when you practice with the fans, so thank you a lot.
Nail, welcome to the beautiful Alberta weather.
Thank you, guys.
Rod?
There goes Chad Owens. Shoot top catch. Owens still on his feet down to the 5-yard line. Well, Nail Yakupov, you might want to go as a slot back as well, as a receiver. That was amazing. The question is, was it a catch? And Ricky Ray is going to try to huddle everybody up and go quickly. A little rollover, and there's a challenge flag already. It's a 52-yard play, but will it be negated, Dwayne? Let's see.
Well, it looks, to that point, it looks like Chad Owens kept the hands underneath the football.
Boy, if he did make that catch,
we'll
that's
take another look
outstanding.
and see if the very tip of the football got through his hands and hit the turf. And if we can find a shot that will be absolutely conclusive of that in order to have it overturned.
Well, biggest play from scrimmage so far for the Toronto Argonauts from their big play guy, Chad Owens. Jake Ireland is watching this back at CFL control. At first glance, you know, you might have thought it was a one-hopper or he pulled it off the turf, but
right there.
Man.
It's going to be a tough call for the officials. You can see the tip of the ball through his hands, the very tip of the football. And that look right there might be enough to overturn this, as it looks like that just as that tip touches, that's when the position of the ball changes.
Owens got up and then dashed. Typical Chad Owens play where he's slipping tackles, and Shal Pisano is coming out to make the call. Not so sure he has a microphone yet. So again, we'll have to use our signals.
The ruling stands,
the
as you
ruling
saw.
stands.
Michel Pinsonneau signaling first down Toronto.
So first down Argonauts, a great catch by Owens, then the run. So now the Argonauts threaten.
Well, a bit of a break for the Argos there, as I think that call could have as easily gone the other way, but
has to be
the
conclusive.
evidence is ruled inconclusive.
Yeah. Well, here come the Argos, their biggest threat so far, thanks to Owens on the toss from Ray. First and goal. Ray's in trouble. Throws it now. Corey Boyd's going to score. Touchdown, Argos.
Ricky Ray paid the price to make the play, taking a hit from Marcus Howard, but getting the throw away to Corey Boyd to put the double blue on the board.
Corey Boyd so quiet in this first half, and wouldn't you figure? Little release here as Ray dumps it off to Corey Boyd, and he has the Argos' first major score of the new season.
Well, one of the big discussions of training camp for the Toronto Argonauts was that Corey Boyd would be used more as a receiver this season. That comes to fruition for the Argos just before halftime.
6 touchdowns last year. Corey Boyd with his first of 2012. 7-play, 85-yard drive. The biggest one, that Chad Owens play that got the ball into scoring position. Here it is.
Yeah, just a crossing route to Chad Owens. Getting that theme, getting Owens the ball in positions where he's going to be able to run after the catch. He shows those marvelous kick return skills. Put the Argos deep in Eskimo territory and set up the touchdown pass to Boyd.
Great recognition by Ricky Ray as he was about to be pasted. Delivers the football to Corey Boyd. I have a feeling we're going to be saying that quite a bit this year. Ray to Boyd.
Well, it would certainly be beneficial to the Argos if they can get that combination going. For Ricky Ray, the 211th regular season touchdown pass of his career, his first as an Argonaut.
So 2:29 to go here. First half. Hugh Charles is back. And also Speedy Joe Burnett. Played in Central Florida, was one of the outstanding returners there. Spent some time with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's see what kind of wheels he has. Up near the 24-yard line. Well, say hello to the new Mondays, Dwayne Ford on Bravo. Every Monday night, new episodes of Suits at 9 Eastern. White Collar at 10 Eastern, all new Mondays, very Bravo. And it's good that Suits is busy on Mondays because he usually works on weekends, too.
That's true. That's true. He'll be in action tomorrow as well, of course.
Calgary Stampeders tomorrow, Montreal Alouettes to round off our Rona Canada Day kickoff weekend. And we say happy Canada Day to all of you coast to coast. Football is back. So good to get it started. Giles, Charles, Marcus Ball with the tackle. Also there, Robert McCune. We talked about the Stampeders. Robert McCune, one of those big bodies, comes over from the Stampeders, released and picked up by the Toronto Argonauts. Former military guy. He is a beast.
Well, this Argo defense has been completely overhauled through the offseason. Just three starters returned from last year. Ends, Ronald Flemons, and Ricky Foley. Free safety, Jordan Younger, who played linebacker most of last season.
We're to run for Calvin McCarty.
With all those new faces, certainly Chris Jones, as he made the move over from Calgary to join his good friend Scott Milanovich on this Argonaut coaching staff. He'll be happy to have a couple of familiar faces, the guys in the linebacking core. You mentioned Robert McCune and, of course, Brandon Isaac, signed as a free agent, who's one of the Stamps' top defenders last year.
Another linebacker from last year had quite a debut as an Argo, Ejiro Kowali. They're playing him off the edge a lot as well, from linebacker to rush in. Kowali lines up as a rush in. 3rd and 1.
Yeah.
First down. Hugh Charles does it again. Scored the major. And a lot of the darting here today for the Edmonton Eskimos, and that time for a first down.
Well, you look at Hugh Charles and see a guy who's not necessarily that big, and you think he's not particularly well suited for the heavy lifting that we became accustomed to seeing Jerome Messon do last year. A strong, compactly built guy. Hugh Charles can be a physical runner when it's necessary.
Giles rolls now. Back to Charles, and they've been playing pitch and catch this entire first half. Stephen Giles, very good percentage rate, not a lot of yardage so far, and hasn't really thrown the ball downfield with a lot of authority. He's been kind of playing like Ricky Ray did, those high percentage passes.
Well, the biggest thing I'm surprised at from an Edmonton Eskimos offensive point of view is not seeing Stephen Giles run more.
Great feet, really scramble. That's what they've talked about really this week and through the preseason, is how different their offense is going to look with the ability for Stephen Giles to get out of that pocket. Under a minute to go here before halftime. The Eskimos look to drive the ball and get some more points on the board. Up 6. Another check down here. Giles sends them out and tries to go against the grain there. Coming up, 37 seconds away, the boys. Dave Randorf, Jock Climbing, Matt Dunnigan, and Schultze talk about this first half and what we've seen so far this weekend. Again, last night, the Saskatchewan Roughriders knocking off the Hamilton Tiger Cats and Henry Burris in Hamilton, and the BC Lions, defending Grey Cup champions, beating the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on G. Roy Simon night. Here comes the rush again. Marcus Ball, but Giles gives it off to Nate Kuhorn. Fumble football. Ejiro Kowali was the guy who hit Kuhorn, and the ball got loose. The Eskimos look like they got it back, though.
A great blitz pickup off the start of this play. The running back Kelvin McCarty came across the formation to pick up the blitzing Marcus Ball. That allows Giles to get the ball away to Kuhorn, who appeared to be down before the ball came loose.
There's Kowali again. He's being used in a number of ways. Linebacker, rush end. He doesn't care. He just wants to play.
As long as he gets to run around and hit people, I think Ejiro Kowali is happy.
He wakes up and he wants to hit somebody. And he did a lot of that last year with the Toronto Argonauts. Again, one of the few returnees. Speaking of returnees, Chad Owens back at his 10-yard line. Burkdale's going to try to angle this one, keep it away from Owens. The 10. Owens on the sideline. Tiptoes out of bounds. 18 seconds to work with for Scott Milanovic and Ricky Ray. Can they put it in field goal position, or are they content to go into the locker room down 6?
Well, hoping certainly that they can move the football better than they did a year ago, Rod. You look at why this team went out and hired an offensive mind as its head coach and went and acquired a new quarterback. The Argos ranking near the bottom of the league in all the key offensive categories last season.
Despite the presence of Ricky Ray, they have not exactly lit it up here in this first half of football. A little pitch here at Andre Dury. Dury has some running room. TJ Hill wrestles him down at the 45-yard line. 10 seconds, might have time for 2 quick tosses to put it in field goal range.
Well, the timing's going to be key, as well as getting that clock stop.
Ricky Ray's been down this road, working with a clock so many times. Now Corey Boyd, 3 seconds, now 1 second, so forget the field goal. That's not possible now.
Yeah, well defended by the Edmonton Eskimos, taking away the deep ball, taking away the sidelines, forcing the Argos into what was essentially worst-case scenario as far as a completed pass goes. Full prevent now for the Esks.
Yeah, they're spreading out, trying to prevent a Hail Mary here. Final play, barring penalty, of this first half. And they'll keep it on the ground. Give it to Corey Boyd. It's going to follow some big bodies. Big gain for Boyd, but they were set up in a prevent defense, and he wasn't headed to the end zone. 2 touchdowns in the first half. The difference, Grant Shaw's foot with his 2 field goals. 13-7, Eskimos.
The Edmonton Eskimos got off to a 5-0 start last season. They're looking to repeat that and then some this year. They've got the lead. There's the 1 touchdown they've got on the board. 13-7 for the Edmonton Eskimos over the Toronto Argonauts. Hi, everybody. Dave Randorf, Jock Climbey, Matt Dunnigan, and Chris Schultz. And you know what? We've talked about it an awful lot. Like it or not, this game going in, the storyline was Ricky Ray and his return to Edmonton and how he would look in this new offense, which is designed and run by the head coach, Scott Milanovich, a former quarterback himself. They get the late touchdown, Jock, aided by a very, very close call, catch by Chad Owens, who, by the way, is lighting it up with all-purpose yards. Why isn't Ricky Ray lighting up the scoreboard yet? What's going wrong with him in this offense right now?
Well, I'm not sure that anything's going wrong with it right now. I think people need to understand that, well, for me, I won't be surprised if Ricky Ray doesn't start looking comfortable until about Labor Day. He is in a completely different offensive scheme than he's ever had before in his career. He had a number of offensive coordinators in Edmonton. He's used to changing systems, but not a system like this one, which is from Mark Trestman when he brought to Montreal, which Cavill has operated under so successfully all these years. What this requires him to do is to make very quick reads, and he has to determine whether he's going to a certain receiver, and within 2 steps, he has to decide if he's getting off that receiver and going to another one, as opposed to just sometimes being able to see the whole field and picking a guy that you like and letting him make a play for you. There's no just winging it in this offense. You can't just throw it up in the air for Fred Stance and ask him to make a play. Here it is very predetermined. It's a very cerebral position. Obviously, Ricky Ray's got lots of smarts. He can get used to this system and be successful in it, as Cavill has. But it isn't going to happen in the 1 half of football. I don't think it'll happen in 1 half of a season.
He's still getting used to his teammates. You mentioned a new offense. You know, it's not any more complicated than any of the offense in the league, as far as I'm concerned. And it is different for Ricky Ray because he has to eliminate and get off of things and stay in his progression for the ball to come out with timing, just Anthony Cavill. But if you look at where Ricky Ray is going to be, now this is my concern, and this is why the Edmonton Eskimos have done a nice job up front with Genty and Howard. They know where he's going to be. He's going to be 7 yards deep, and you got to get to that spot, get Ray off that spot, and you see the success happen. This is true for Anthony Cavill, always has been in Montreal. That offensive line out there has done a great job. So this is more about just Ricky Ray getting rid of the football and being comfortable in the offense. It's about that offensive line, getting used to having Ricky back there at that 7-yard spot all the time, and his receiving core. You know, I like what I saw, Schultz. He started spreading the ball around a little bit more to guys, playmakers, Kackert, Boyd, Owens. You know, Inman was vital in that first half. It'll come, but it'll be a period of time.
Well, moment of honesty, like my fatigue level in talking about Ricky Ray is at an all-time high. It really is.
In week one.
We're not even
first half. No, look, if you want to run a really good offense, this is the coordination of 12 people that all have different responsibilities. And if all 12 do their work together, then it works. Truth is, if 11 do their job well together and it's the quarterback that does a mediocre job, that offense is still going to work. Sometimes you get the opposite. You get a dominant quarterback with inferior people around him. But I think we got to be careful to put so much emphasis on one player. Hey, he's responsible physically for the first half of the play. Everybody else is responsible for the second half of the play. So let's just temper it down a little bit. I mean,
I don't know, Schultz. This is a CFL.
Yeah, I know, but I get a little tired of it. I really do.
Yeah, but Ray admits to himself that he's got to get better, and he's got to get rid of old habits and can't get out and stay on things long. He's got to get rid of the football. He's got to go through his progressions, eliminate. The longer you stay on something, the longer it's not going to be there. You're going to draw flies to the area. You got to get off of it, and Ray already admits that he's got to get better too.
We got him at 13 of 18 for 153 yards passing and a 1 touchdown pass. And by the way, tonight's Scotiabank game changer is Eskimo fan Dwayne Mirmo. He's an extremely dedicated volunteer, giving his time to 3 organizations. Congratulations, Dwayne, the Scotiabank game changer. Beautiful day for the season opener at Commonwealth Stadium and entertaining everybody on hand. Today it's Finger 11, cranking out the tunes at halftime. 13-7, the Edmonton Eskimos with the lead over the Toronto Argonauts. We're joined now by our CFL insider Dave Naylor. We're going to go around the league a little bit, and starting with Another injury for Buck Pierce, who started a career-high 16 games last season, but did not make it out of the first half last night in Vancouver. What's the latest?
Well, the Bombers flew back today. They say that he has a bruise in his lower leg. They say it's not a knee, it's a lower leg bruise. He is having trouble walking. Pierce is suggesting he will be able to play Friday against Montreal. The Bombers not so sure. Interesting, 37 games with Winnipeg for Buck Pierce. He has been knocked out of 8 games, missed 15 others altogether. So Alex Brink likely to get some time to practice and could start for Winnipeg on Friday against Montreal.
And also in that game last night, a little congratulations also to G. Roy Simon, who did pass Milt Stegall to become the CFL's all-time leading receiver. Avon Coburn did not start at running back last night for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Why was that?
Well, it didn't have to do with his conditioning. Some people wondering because he got to camp late. Is that the issue? They simply felt that Siobhan Walker was the best back they had to go with, and he played very well. Avon Coburn, to come back to the CFL at a retirement, wanted to be paid like one of the highest paid running backs in the Canadian Football League, which he is. We'll see how Hamilton works its ratio over the next few weeks, but if they can't get 2 import running backs onto the roster, you have to wonder about Avon Coburn's future with Hamilton because of the salary he earns. If he's not playing, who knows how long he'd be there for.
Because he was not coming back up to give up his insurance job unless he got his money, right? Interesting move for Montreal, and a move that certainly enraged Calgary Stampeder fans when their first-round draft pick, a defensive end, Amit Paul from Montreal, got away and ended up with the Owls. How did that happen?
This guy was the 5th pick overall in the draft. Now, he had an injured foot. The Stamps played Friday night last week in Saskatchewan, had to fly back and then set their roster. They had all kinds of medical questions about players, including Amit Paul. They told him, hey, we're going to cut you, but hang around. We're going to get an MRI on Monday. Just bear with us. We got to find out the medical status as we set our roster. Now, he was exposed, so the Alouettes saw him as a cut, made an offer to his agent. He accepted it. The Stamps were really upset just because they didn't know he was doing this. He was in their building on Sunday. They got a phone message from him Sunday night, says, I'm gone to Montreal. They thought they had an understanding with him. Turns out they didn't. The first-round pick is in Montreal.
Rider fans are upset. They cannot go to Rider practices right now. They are banned indefinitely. What's the story there?
Well, for 2 days a week, the Riders are going to have closed practices, no fans allowed. In Saskatchewan, about 100 fans a day go to watch practice. Some fan had put information on a message board about their formations, personnel, that kind of thing. The Riders say they would like this to be a temporary thing. They just have to find a solution to it. They don't know what the solution is because other teams can glean important information off those message boards. So for now, 2 days a week, Rider fans are out at practice.
George Cortez, head coach of the Ticats, said, yeah, I saw the information. That was good information indeed. Here are the halftime numbers. Matty, why don't you run these down for us?
Yeah, we've got Ray and Giles. Who's got the upper hand in the trade? Ooh. I tell you what, both quarterbacks have completed 13 balls. They've gotten the running backs involved. Both of them have thrown to 6 different receivers. Time of possession is the biggest thing that jumps out at me right there in favor of the Eskimos. They do that in the second half, they're winning this football game.
Matty, you said Stephen Giles was under pressure tonight in this one. He just spoke with Ryan Rashad.
Stephen, you've been around this league a long time, but I wonder if this start felt any different for you, given the circumstances with Ricky's return and your first start.
Not as far as Ricky coming back here. It's different as far as a new team and having a chance to start from out the gate.
You pushed the ball downfield a couple of times in that first half. How did you feel the offense played?
Well, we played well, but we left a lot of plays out there on the field. So we're going to go in and make corrections, and we're going to come back to those plays and try to get the matchup we want.
Thanks, Stephen.
All right, thank you.
The Edmonton Eskimos have won the last 4 meetings against the Argos, but of course Ricky Ray was the quarterback for the Eskimos then. We'll see what's coming up in the second half. In the meantime, Natasha Stanishevsky is here with a Sports Center update. Hello, Natasha.
Hello. Thank you very much. We've got some hockey news to start off with. Justin Schultz, a highly sought-after commodity. A ton of teams were after him. He has made his decision. The unrestricted free agent is heading to Edmonton. The 21-year-old D-man has signed a 2-year entry-level deal with the Oilers. Schultz, originally a second-round draft pick of the Ducks in 2008 and spent the last 3 seasons at the University of Wisconsin. He is expected to play in the NHL next season. Angels and Blue Jays, bottom of 5 already, 8-1 Toronto, 2-1 for Brett Laurie. He goes deep to left, his 8th, a 3-run shot. He was 3 for 4 on the day, and the Jays win big, 11-2. Coming up on SportsCenter after the game, we get you set for Free Agent Frenzy. Our coverage starts tomorrow at noon Eastern. We also tee up the Euro Final, which is live on TSN tomorrow at 2 Eastern. We'll see you on SportsCenter.
We ready ourselves for the second half at Edmonton's Commonwealth Stadium tonight. Ricky Ray and the Argos down 13-7. Here's Scott Milanovich, head coach of the Argonauts, with Ryan Rashad. Ryan?
Scott, what were your impressions of Ricky in the offense in the first half?
I think Ricky played well. We just had too many penalties. We had that turnover, slow starting, but our defense did a nice job of keeping us in the game.
What do you chalk up to it being a lot of new pieces in the offense versus sloppy execution? What's the difference?
I think it's a little bit of both, and the fact that we had some poor field position most of the first quarter, but they seem to have found their rhythm. We're looking forward to a better half.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks a lot.
6-point game. Ricky Ray's return. A few butterflies, anxious moments as well for Ricky Ray. He's been around the block. He's been there and done that, but he has never been there and done that wearing a different uniform. So quite different for Ricky Ray from the locker room, the surroundings, the uniform, and playing against the Eskimos.
No question about that for Ricky Ray. I'm surprised, though, that the fans really haven't been a factor as far as Ricky Ray. You would think that a star player coming back, I mean, they paid their tribute, thought they might give him a little bit of difficulty when the Argos were in the huddle or at the line of scrimmage, generating some crowd noise, but that hasn't been an issue. It's, as Scott Milanovich said, the Argos have been their own worst enemies in the first half.
Well, the Eskimos have also had a lot to cheer about themselves, and their offense has been able to move the football. Joe Burnett churns his way to the 37-yard line. Let's take a look at what the two quarterbacks, two principals in the trade back in December did. Very similar percentages, very similar first half.
Yeah, you heard the boys talk about it a little bit at halftime. Each quarterback with 13 completions in the first half, and each of them with sort of one big play, padding the yardage. But neither team really approaching anything you'd call a breakout offensively.
Well, we'll see what the second half has in store for us. Very defensive game predominantly so far. Stephen Giles, deep drop. There's his best pass of the game, and Darius Bowman. Stephen Giles, who's been nickeling and diming the Argos so far, this time stretches that defense, and Darius Bowman gets up, nicked up.
Well, when a team comes out gunslinging like this, it makes you believe they've seen something in the first half of play that they can exploit. A Darius Bowman straight down the seam on that one. Stephen Giles with the strike on the play off the play action. Bowman often overshadowed by Fred Stamps, but actually tied with Stamps in receiving yardage, fourth in the league last season.
90 yards today. Giles, lots of running room if he wants it. Will decide to throw it down the sideline and away from Nate Kuhorn, out of trouble. Giles also knocked down as he threw that football, so it's going to be second down from the Toronto Argonaut 40.
Darius Bowman heading back on the field. You see him holding his rib cage or stomach area. He was shaken up on the tackle after that long catch. Sat out the last play. The guy who is always knocked for his inconsistency during his time in Saskatchewan and Winnipeg. Made the permanent move inside to slot back last year and seems to have found a home here in Edmonton.
Giles changes the play here. Little check down. Here comes the rush. Might have been offside. Giles lets it go. And in and out of the gloves of Nate Kuhorn. Looked like Marcus Ball may have jumped a little bit. Been ahead of the snap.
The Argos frequently using the linebacker Ball to blitz off the edge. He's trying to time it up.
It was
second down repeated.
Marcus
Second
Ball,
down.
number 6.
1 yard, or am I really?
And Marcus Ball talking about the 1 yard. And again, for a lot of these players who haven't played up here before, it's a tough transition, that 1 yard off the football.
We talked about the timing. Marcus Ball seemed to think, obviously, that he was timing the snap count pretty well, asking whether the issue was where he was aligned or whether it was his timing.
2nd and 5. He's gone to Hugh Charles a lot in this formation. Look to Charles. There it is. Marcus Ball on him again, blanketing, and that was pretty predictable. They've used Hugh Charles a lot on those 2nd and 5 occasions, and so now Grant Shaw comes out again. 3rd down, and will attempt a field goal.
A good recovery by the Toronto Argonaut defense after giving up that big play out of the gate to stiffen up, force the Eskimos into this kicking situation.
Shaw's been perfect so far, the former Argo, against his old mates. This attempt will come from the 42-yard line. for his big leg. Shaw, also very accurate. Right down the middle, gets a chance to kick here in Edmonton, making good on it in game 1 of the new season. 16-7. It's an old adage, but you've got to be ready to play no matter what happens. Michel Pinsonneau as well, the referee who wasn't supposed to be refereeing right now. Let's go down to Ryan Rishaug.
Yeah, Andre Proulx, the head referee we saw in the first half there, Rod, ended up on the Eskimo sideline, was suffering from some heat-related symptoms. They had a wet towel over his head. He ended up getting taken back to the Eskimo dressing room. Then at halftime, he was seen being taken on a stretcher back to a medical room with hooked up to some monitors. The Eskimo medical staff took a look at him along with the paramedics on hand. And word is he's doing okay, but certainly won't be returning to this game.
We wish Andre Proulx, one of the CFL's very best, all the best. And Michel Pinsonneau takes over. And the game is the head linesman, now the referee. The boss right now. He's the new boss of the Argos. Offensively, Ricky Ray. Unspectacular so far. 16-7 Eskimos. Football to Spencer Watt. Makes his first catch up near the 30-yard line.
Interesting to hear Jock Climie at halftime break down the differences between the Scott Milanovic style offense for a quarterback and your more traditional CFL offense, just in terms of the importance of the time when the ball needs to come out of the chute.
Milanovic, of course, looking in tandem with Anthony Kelly. Receiving core in Montreal. Ricky Ray dodges a tackle. Held shy of a first down again. Corey Boyd has scored today. The pass from Ricky Ray held in check.
You see a lot of dump-off passes from Ricky Ray to his running backs underneath. We've seen it to Jeff Johnson as well, where in many cases, whether it's a combination of protection from the offensive line not giving time, or receivers not getting open downfield, but the chances to get the ball deep to threaten vertically have been very limited for Ricky Ray and the Argo offense.
High floating kick back to Yamon Figurs. Figurs tries to reverse field, but quickly downfield. The Argo special teams stop him in their tracks. You're watching. Hope you're enjoying the Canada Day weekend, the Rona Canada Day kickoff to the new season. 2 games last night, 1 today, 1 tomorrow. Edmonton Eskimos leading the Toronto Argonauts 16-7. Argo quarterback Stephen Giles winning this one so far. Pitch pass, Fred Stamps. Way out in the corner. Fred Stamps stopped by number 4 Pacino Horn, one of the newcomers. Here's the 1-2 punch from last season for the Eskimos when these guys were catching balls from Ricky Ray.
Yeah, identical yardage totals. The two of them ended up tied for 4th in the CFL in receiving yards. The Eskimos receiving touchdowns. Along with those two, the number 3 receiver for the Eskimos, Jason Barnes, now in Argonauts. He posted a career high in receiving yards, catching passes from Ricky Ray a year ago.
No gain on the play by Stamps. Here's the rush. Giles goes deep for Fred Stamps, but that was overthrown by about 15 yards. Fred Stamps got caught up on that route.
Well, exactly. Fred Stamps into some traffic. I believe it was the free safety, Jordan Younger, who picked him up. Younger, a free safety who's very comfortable in man-to-man coverage, having spent most of his career as a corner. Bounced down to play in the box last year, the Sam linebacker spot, but shifting to free safety at the end of last season and has remained in that position. This year, going to have to direct a lot of traffic, surrounded by 4 first-year players.
Burke Dales. Chad Owens. Sturdy, quick move, and then stumbles his way to the 50-yard line. Well, number 2 for Edmonton, Fred Stamps, formed a long partnership with another quarterback, trying to forge a new one with Stephen Giles. But obviously, he too was surprised when he heard that Ricky Ray had been traded to Toronto.
I was shocked. Everybody felt the same way, but I just couldn't believe it. But you know, I talked to Ricky after the trade, and he felt the same way. He didn't know what was going on, but you know, that's the way football goes. So you know, one year you could be here, next year you could be somewhere else.
You could certainly make the argument, Rod, that next to Ricky Ray, that's the guy most affected by the deal.
Corey Boyd, one of his most effective runs, plows his way, it looks like, for a first down. Well, again, all the talk about the Ricky Ray trade, and you know, it's obviously reverberated through the league, and maybe some closure here for Ricky Ray as well. Right off the hop, similar to Andy Fantuz last night, although Fantuz has to go to Regina July 28th. But to have this game and to get it out of the way for Ricky Ray, game 1, might be beneficial.
Yeah, I think so. Rather than having a season for this to build up.
For all parties involved, penalty flags flew. Corey Boyd did not. The dump pass. And again, it looked like the Eskimos were right on top of Ricky Ray so quickly here. And it looks like it's procedure against the Argonauts.
Another of those penalties that Scott Milanovich spoke about at halftime.
Illegal procedure. Toronto number 61. Penalties declined. Second down.
13th Argonaut penalty of the evening.
And an Argonaut team that needs to shore that up. Second most penalized team in the CFL last year with the Eskimos. Down the sideline, Ray stretching it. This is picked off. There's a penalty flag there. Wonder if that's interference. So there is a penalty flag. So it is against the Edmonton Eskimos.
Pass interference. Edmonton number 37. First down.
Rod Williams on coverage.
Well, Williams got tied up with the receiver, Dontrell Inman, as Inman tried to fight back to the football. Incidental contact, to me, as their feet got tangled up.
There's former Blue Bomber Clint Kent wearing number 42. The interception that goes for naught. That was a good pickup for Eric Tillman. Ricky Ray slipped, but now he fires to the end zone and has Chad Owens, and he doesn't have the football.
All right, off the big play, Ricky Ray goes for the throat of his former team. Had Chad Owens by a step in the end zone. Looked like the defender may have gotten a hand on it. Rod Williams in man coverage on the play.
Maybe just enough to alter, distract him. Did he get a piece of that football? Maybe, but Owens.
I'm not convinced that he touched it. I think he just did enough to distract Owens just before the ball got there.
Chad Owens is hard on himself. He'll tell you he should have had that. And a guy last year who had no receiving touchdowns. That could have been number 1 in 2 years. Ray again to the end zone. And in tight coverage, Jason Barnes. So 2 quick tosses to the end zone. No pay dirt this time for the Toronto Argonauts. The best they're going to be able to do is a field goal here.
Well, once they got close and started to smell that end zone a little bit, the Argos offense suddenly became a little bit more aggressive, with Ricky Ray throwing the ball downfield. First taking a shot at the end zone to Owens, then looking to Barnes. Barnes in particular well covered on the play.
So Noel Prefontaine, former Eskimo, long-time Argo. 32-yarder, kick is up, and it's wide. And it bounces through the end zone for a single point. The Argos have 8 on the board, but they're down 8 in Edmonton. Game changer so far for the Edmonton Eskimos has been this guy.
Hugh Charles with an Eskimo touchdown in the first half. Completing that with the flip. The game changers aren't just on the field, Rod.
No, this family like that. That's Dwayne Murmo. He is tonight's Scotiabank game changer. Dwayne, extremely dedicated volunteer, giving his time to 3 organizations. $1,000 will go to the Edmonton Down Syndrome Society. He's been a season ticket holder the last 14 years. His favorite player, Marcus Howard, and had a chance to chat with him before the game. This is a guy who's given so much back to the community. He started a program called Sockability. Giles for Fred Stamps, almost a highlight reel. Penalty flag. Interference call will move the football nonetheless.
And as the saying goes, when you throw the ball up deep, one of three things can happen. 2 of them are good. Completion being the most obvious, penalty also a benefit to the Eskimos in this situation.
Pass interference, Toronto number 8. Penalty applied at the spot of the foul. First down.
This new cornerback, Ahmad Carroll, played in the Arena League and the United League. Former Green Bay draft pick and a former track star. You have to be a track star to keep a hold of this guy, and he had a hold of Fred Stamps. Now over the century mark, Dwayne, and penalties for the Argonauts. Discipline an issue here in game 1. Look at the difference. Giles rifles one. Down to the 39-yard line goes Fred Stamps.
You mentioned those penalties, Rod. Well, the Eskimos have clearly looked a little bit sharper offensively than have the Argos thus far. It's not like they've made the most of all of their opportunities offensively. They're not running away with this football game. But as the Argos look at it right now, an 8-point ball game, but with all those penalties working against them, I mean, they could be right in this thing.
Giles, good protection, and caught. Greg Carr. The former Bombers team up. Another big gainer down to the red zone, to the 20-yard line.
Well, and here we'll see one of the things that Greg Carr did with great success as a Winnipeg Blue Bomber, running that slant route, using the big body to shield the defender from the football, using the reach to catch the ball away from the body.
Covered again by Pacino Horn, one of the newcomers. 4 new members of the Toronto Argonauts secondary, 4 of 5. Injured Argo. There is Greg Carr. First game as an Eskimo. Here's what he did with the Blue Bombers, and he did a lot.
A guy who proved himself as a big play threat from his first week in the CFL. 2 years spent with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, primarily playing that short side wide receiver. Size, deceptive speed. Brought here to Edmonton. Balance the field offensively for them, most frequently lining up opposite Darius Bowman and Fred Stamps within the alignment for the Eskimo receiving corps.
2 for 29 yards so far. Greg Carr, of course, went to the Grey Cup game with the Blue Bombers, a loss to the BC Lions. One of the big reasons why the Bombers were able to get to that Grey Cup game. A big play guy. So we still have an injured Argo being attended to. And now Pacino Horn is getting up. Pacino Horn is from Central Michigan. Found at one of the camps by Argo's GM, Jim Barker. And here is secondary school here today. Jordan Younger, you are the vet.
Yeah,
you are the daddy.
Yeah, Jordan Younger leads the secondary in games played. The other 4 guys are tied for second.
Yes, they are. And right now, Pacino Horn and TJ Williams, Pat Watkins, Ahmad Carroll are seeing a lot. Green and gold uniforms and getting quite an indoctrination into Canadian football.
Yeah, this is a pretty good group of receivers to open up against. Now a big hit for the Argos. Pacino Horn is the guy that Jim Barker described as the one who had been their best or most consistent defensive back through training camp. Said he just had a knack for making plays.
See how this affects the Argos coverage now. Giles again, that deep drop, and the deep throw to the end zone for Stamps, and an overthrow. Stephen Giles has a deceptively good arm, mostly because you don't see him stretch it out very often. He has a lot of those dump passes, those little screen passes, pitch passes so far, but he can chuck it.
Yeah, we've seen both teams start to become a little bit more aggressive offensively here in the second half. And there Giles takes a shot from Pat Watkins. Came on the halfback blitz.
2nd and 10, or the Eskimos will have to bring out Grant Shaw again. He's been their biggest weapon so far. Giles in the pocket. Once again, same pattern, same result for Fred Stamps.
Pat Watkins with a pretty good possession going defensively, a good series, and on back-to-back plays.
And maybe a little tug of the jersey.
Yeah, Brandon Isaac, the man in coverage on that play.
Right, Stamps probably went back to Giles, said, hey, go there again. I had him last time, but that time, not so much. So now Shaw. Perfect afternoon. Wouldn't ask for anything more against a team that traded you away. 29-yarder this time. 4 for 4. Extends the lead to 19-8, Edmonton. Time now for our Purolator's Sack Attack. Sack Tally brought to you by Purolator, tackling hunger across Canada. Check. These are the numbers from last year. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers and Swaggerville. 1 sack ahead of the BC Lions. The Eskimos with 39. The Argos 7th in the league with 28.
And those are Eskimo numbers from last season, led by Marcus Howard with 11.
Well, the hometown guy, Grant Shaw, gets traded back to his hometown of Edmonton, has done well today. Not only with field goals, 4 for 4, that's as good as it gets, but also with kickoffs. He has a very, very heavy leg, and the kickoffs have been very deep to Chad Owens.
Yeah, well, that was an element that the Eskimos knew they were getting in Grant Shaw. He led the CFL in average yardage per kickoff last season. What he's delivering with the field goals is huge, though. This was a team that had to rely on an American kicker, Damon Duval, for most of last season. Benefits them roster-wise if they can make kicker a Canadian position, if Grant Shaw can continue to deliver.
Here's a penalty flag that flies. Ray. Tight coverage once again. And Scott Milanovic is going to go ballistic soon if these penalties continue to pile up. This time it's against the Eskimos.
Offside, Edmonton number 94, 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
That's Ted Laurent. Former supplemental pick. I was born in Montreal. Moved to Georgia at a very young age. Occupies one of the nose tackle positions. Corey Boyd. 1st and 5. Nowhere to go.
That's been the story of Corey Boyd's day, at least in terms of the ground game. Eskimos defending very well in that rushing attack. Defensive line anchored by Ted Laurent. Of course, the tackling machine, West Division Rookie of the Year from 2011, J.C. Sherritt.
What a debut he had a year ago. Ray airing it out. Andre Dury has it. Down near the 40 of the Eskimos, and just like that, Ricky Ray stretches the Eskimos defenders.
Again, we saw a lot of what you'd call a feeling out process throughout the first half. Very few balls thrown downfield. Both teams kind of settling for things underneath. Now starting to open it up, starting to press downfield. Attack vertically a little bit more.
3 catches for 65 yards. The former star from York University. Native of Mississauga. Ray play action. High in the air was leaping up. Jason Barnes unable to come down with it. Again, Ricky Ray took a hit as he threw that ball. It'll be 2nd down and 10. The old story about Ricky Ray, though, you know, even when he's having kind of one of those flat days where it's solid, not spectacular, he's done it so many times, threw for so many yards and so many touchdowns. That word unflappable has always been hovering over Ricky Ray. Cool customer. He can do great things very quickly. Not this time. Pass thrown behind Owens. Good coverage again. Chris Thompson.
Chris Thompson, one of the best ball hawks in the business. Locked up on Chad Owens. Nice jump to come underneath on that pass.
So now Noel Prefontaine, who missed earlier, with a long try here. 47 yards. An 11-point Eskimo lead. Prefontaine, kick is up, and it is good.
Noel Prefontaine, 27-yard field goal is good.
The lead back to 8 points. So the veteran, Noel Prefontaine, one of the oldest players in the league, buries this one.
Prefontaine demonstrating at 38 years of age, he's still got a lot of leg left.
He was a guy who was very unhappy in his initial trade, remember, a few years ago, from Toronto to Edmonton. Then when he came back to Toronto, Scott Milanovic with the reaction. He was saying earlier this week that, you know, coming back to Edmonton, an organization that through the years has been so classy, it's kind of a homecoming for him too. Enjoyed his time here.
You see so many former Eskimos stick around town and stay involved with the organization.
Charles, again, Marcus Ball near the ball all day long today. Marcus Ball has been in a lot of tackles. Joseph Cohen also in on the tackle, but there's Marcus Ball making his linebacking debut with the Argos. 24-year-old out of Memphis University. Up in Chattanooga. Second down. Flag flies. Ball flies. Stamps. Can't get to it.
It looked like Marcus Ball might have jumped early on that one. Again, Rod trying to time up his rush off the edge.
Yeah, he's been around the football maybe a little too aggressively at times today. 2 or 3 times now he's jumped. Was he drawn?
Offside, Edmonton number 84. Penalties declined. 3rd down.
Kerry Koch offside. Perpetrator that time, so Burke Dales comes out. Chad Owens goes back. Just over 2 minutes to go, 3rd quarter here in Edmonton.
Keep an eye on the bottom right corner of your screen. Offside. That may have drawn the defense, but Koch charged with the penalty.
Shadows stretching now. Dales punts from the sunlight. Owens in the shadows. Ball trying to get outside. Breaks one. Breaks another. Owens to the midfield stripe and beyond.
Let's go!
And knocked heavily out of bounds. And it was the punter, Burke Dales, big guy coming back, knocking him out of bounds. A lot of returners, a lot of players would just take the easy way out. Not Chad Owens.
Well, Chad Owens delivered some stiff arms to a couple of pretty big bodies, including 245-pound fullback Mathieu Bertrand. Burke Dales, former junior hockey enforcer, by the way, Burke Dales. Lowers the boom.
Very close to being out of bounds, that hit. Shoulder. Mike Bradwell from Ricky in the new season of the Canadian receivers. And as Ricky Ray did in Edmonton for so many years, he spreads it around. That's the 8th different receiver that he's been able to find today for the Toronto Argonauts. Something you haven't seen in the Argonauts offense the last couple of seasons.
Last year in particular, I think they'd be happy to find any receiver.
Ray, pocket, over the middle. Down to the 30-yard line goes Jason Barnes. Another guy who knows this Commonwealth Stadium turf very well.
Slowly but surely, Ricky Ray settling in. Jason Barnes here lines up as the outside receiver in the cluster. Just runs that crossing route underneath the coverage.
First and 10 from the Eskimo 30. Argos getting close to the red zone. Send out 5 receivers. And out of the backfield, Jeff Johnson. Johnson plows his way down inside the 15-yard line. Johnson's been around doing a lot of this for many years. Only he, Jordan Younger, and Noel Prefontaine remain from the 2004 Grey Cup team.
And Younger and Prefontaine both left and came back, leaving JJ as the longest serving Toronto Argonaut.
13th season. Tell you one thing, never have to worry about the conditioning around Jeff Johnson, do you? He is quite a specimen. Last play, 3rd quarter, Chad Catbird called down. Don Ramasian, former Blue Bomber, first game as an Eskimo. That will do it for the 3rd quarter. 15 minutes remain. Ricky Ray and the Argonauts down 8 in his old hometown, Edmonton. Here are the numbers after 3 quarters. Game very much still in doubt. Season opener for both the Eskimos and the Toronto Argonauts. 19-11 for Edmonton. Back with Dwayne Ford as Henry Burris went through last night with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Still very much a work in progress for Ricky Ray, new quarterback for the Argos. But things are starting to gel a little bit, but you can still tell it's going to take a while.
Yeah, and the last play was a perfect example of that for Ricky Ray. That shows that he's still trying to find his way and figure out what all his reads are. He's clearly got a read at the line of scrimmage as to whether he's handing this ball off or keeping it. Watch Ray at the end of the play as he's tapping the chest as he looks to the bench. My bad. He knows he should have made a different call there.
So a loss on the play, 2nd down. Argos need to get inside the 5 to move the sticks or look to the end zone here. Ray protected, end zone, open, touchdown, Spencer Watt.
Flag down at the line.
There is a flag down back at the 22-yard line. And it looks like this is coming back. Ricky Ray discussed it. That was a perfect toss to Spencer Watt.
Holding, Toronto number 52. 2nd down repeated.
Wayne Smith, left tackle, takes over from Rob Murphy. His first game in that position for the Argos.
Wayne Smith in that left tackle spot, 2nd from the bottom. He's the guy who gets flagged. The initial look, I wasn't convinced that he was the man. I think it was 66, Jonathan St. Pierre, who was beside him at tight end. Dragged his man down.
Well, here they go again. 2nd and 23. The play is out of the backfield for Andre Dury. Head down over the 20-yard line, but this will bring out the field goal unit again.
Rod, regardless of the penalty at the line of scrimmage on the last play, I think in this drive in particular, through the second half of this football game, we're starting to see a few flashes of what could be as the season goes on between Ricky Ray and his receivers here in Toronto.
More comfortable, it seems, with each possession. Again, just as cool as ever. Ricky Ray. So Jarius Jackson to supply the hold, the backup quarterback. The left-footed Noel Prefontaine. 24-yard kick. Prefontaine has missed twice today. The lead remains 8 points. Tough day at the office. Another subplot to this game, the battle of the Argo kicker against the former Argo kicker, and the former Argo kicker is winning this one so far tonight. 4 for 4 is Grant Shaw.
As Noel Prefontaine 1 for 3, and we're talking about an 8-point football game right now. So much of the focus of the trade has been about the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Let's not forget, Grant Shaw was part of that trade for the Eskimos as well.
And again, those draft picks that could also work out down the road for the Edmonton Eskimos. Stephen Giles has looked pretty good. Eskimos leading 19-11. Giles slinging it for Darius Bowman. There's smoke here. A little firework display.
And Stephen Giles just off the mark there. A little behind to Darius Bowman.
Giles will no huddle here. Ray Carr and Nate Kuhorn are the wideouts. Second down. 10 to go. Giles back over to Calvin McCarty. This is where he's best. Coming out of the backfield, accepting those screen tosses. I've really been impressed. One of the strengths of Stephen Giles is his ability to backpedal into the pocket. He's very quick getting back there.
Yeah, able to buy himself a little bit more time as a result.
So it'll be third down. Burke Dales will come out to kick it back to the Argos, and they continue to avoid a big return by Chad Owens, but every time we've done a game with Chad Owens, it seems game in and game out, there is a possibility he could take it back. Haven't been over the last few years like that in the league.
Let him go, let him go, let him go.
2 Owens at the 4-yard. Canada continues. TSN moves to Calgary. Alouettes is stamped down the road. The 100th Grey Cup kicks off for both teams at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on TSN. And what a season. Hope, of course, 8 different cities, and culminating in November with the 100th Grey Cup in Toronto. One of the reasons that the Argos really loaded up this year. They have full intention to be in a hometown Grey Cup. A lot of work to do, though. Jason Barnes accepts that pass. Minimal gain.
The BC Lions demonstrated very clearly last season that it's not so much about how you start, but how you finish the journey that is a CFL season.
Lions with an 0-5 start. The Edmonton Eskimos 5-0. Exploded out of the starting gate. Trying to get win number 1. Crowd into it here. 2nd and 6. Ray the drop. Over the top again for Boyd. And this Eskimo defense has done a tremendous job targeting number 3 today.
Not just taking away Corey Boyd as a runner, but also limiting what Corey Boyd's been able to do as they've swarmed him pretty well every time Ricky Ray has gone to him as an outlet receiver.
Shaw Genty again back with the Eskimos. A few years ago, he was with Edmonton. A couple Grey Cups, then went down to the NFL to play with the Cincinnati Bengals. Dave, this is a good kick. We'll get to the end zone. Yes, it will, and figures on one knee, but no yards. 19-11, the hometown Eskimos lead. Davis Reed and the Edmonton Eskimos, as we went to break, electing to decline the no yards penalty and giving the Argonauts 1 point. All about field position right now, so an 8-point game becomes a 7-point game. It's 19-12.
Yeah, at this point in the game where you may have a couple of exchanges of possession, back and forth, field position critical. Argos starting to move the ball a little bit offensively compared to what they were doing in the first half, where the Eskimos might have made a different decision.
That could become a big point, but there's still plenty of time left on the clock. Well over 11 minutes. Giles back to work. Charles reverses field to go to the left and then cut back to the right. Took the handoff. Couple of yards.
Hugh Charles, a big part of the Eskimo offense in the first half of this ball game. Something of a forgotten man through the third quarter.
Guy who got into 2 late season games, former Rough Rider, traded to Edmonton last October. Big part of their team now. Here comes the rush. Oh, Stephen Giles escapes. The Coulthard has room. Coulthard inside Argo territory. There is a penalty flag on the far side of the field. This could come back. We'll see. How about that juke by Stephen Giles? It is against the Toronto Argonauts, so the play will stand.
Offside, Toronto number 45. Penalties declined. First down.
And here you see Argo's defensive end, Derek Summers, who thinks he's got a beat on the Eskimo quarterback. He's left unblocked here. But this is something that Stephen Giles brings to the Eskimo offense that you could argue Ricky Ray doesn't offer. Is that elusiveness to buy time to make plays.
23-yard gain for the Eskimos. Charles again. Robert McCune and Marcus Ball. Thirds of the line backing through. Looking back. Tackle. Look at that. Derek Summers, welcome to the CFL. Say goodbye to Stephen Giles. Whoa. Under 10 to play. Eskimo offense last year that was 6th in putting points on the board in the Canadian Football League. Pass intended for Kerry Koch.
I'll tell you, a team that did not have trouble putting points on the board today, Team Canada, playing in the IFAF Under-19 World Junior Championships, shellacked Sweden, that noted football power Sweden, 43-0. Good win for Team Canada. Kamau Peterson among the assistant coaches with that team. Former CFL coach Noel Thorpe, now with University of Montreal, the head coach of that group.
Trouts those Swedes. A lot of different places to play football now. This ball is going to get into the end zone. There's a penalty flag back near the 10-yard line. Sometimes when those flags are way back there, that could be a too many men on the field penalty or an alignment issue. Birkdale's puts a point on the board, but not quite yet. We'll see what this flag's about. There's 2 of them back there. Once again, here's Michel Pinsonneau.
Too many men. Toronto. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Scott Milanovich. Penalties piling up, and that one enormously costly.
Yeah, a little question what the first thing will be that Scott Milanovich will address at that team meeting, first team meeting of the week.
Eskimos offense back on the field now. First and 10 from the 35. Giles stays in the pocket to McCarty. McCune and again Marcus Ball, the tacklers. Is it my imagination, or have there been a lot of over-the-top patterns here today? A lot of throwing over the top, crossing patterns. A lot of passes to running backs.
Yeah, the running backs have been a big part of it, and it'll be interesting to see if this becomes a bit of a trend. You think to the Saskatchewan-Hamilton game last night, where a lot of the passing game was limited to the underneath stuff.
And could be also attributed to early season. There's the rush now, and Giles gets smoked that time by Derek Summers. Got to him. No dodging Derek Summers this time.
Well, Stephen Giles fortunate to get the ball away in the end, but the heat coming right off the edge. Derek Summers takes the tackle out wide, opening a lane for Ahmad Carroll to blitz through.
But here's the difference now, Dwayne, in that too many penalty. What was a punt by Burke Dales in 1 point could now become 3. Field goal attempt again for Grant Shaw. 4 for 4, 35-yarder this time. Oh, bad snap. Through the hands of Matt Nichols, the holder. Nichols is a quarterback, can throw it, but nowhere near anybody. So it actually works out for the Toronto Argonauts. The Eskimos still lead 19-12.
Oh, mishandled snap by the holder. Matt Nichols came back clean from the new long snapper here in Edmonton, Ryan King. Nichols unable to get the squeeze on it and get it down. Forced to scramble. He completes the pass to an Eskimo. Unfortunately, Burke Dales on the sideline.
Nice one-handed grab by the punter, though. So all of that also blew off about 2 minutes on the clock, though. So time ticking down here on the Argos, and Ricky Ray's going down.
Armando Sewell, second-year player, part of that rotation at defensive tackle.
Sewell played 3 games last year for the Eskimos. Makes an impact in this one. His old teammate.
And you just saw him getting some props on the sidelines from a guy who's been helping out coaching through training camp, former Eskimo Jed Roberts.
They obviously had the screen set up to Corey Boyd there. Ray couldn't get it out. This time back to Boyd. Could not shake Damaso Munoz. And the Argos are going to have to kick again.
This Eskimo defense has been very well prepared to defend Corey Boyd, both as a running back and as a receiver. They've let him catch some balls underneath, but he's been brought down immediately virtually every time.
Refontaine. Deep kick. Figures. On Figures. High arm there. 40-yard line. He steps out of bounds. There's a penalty flag. The midfield stripe. Was it a face mask or close to a horse collar? Hand was very close to Yamon Figures' mask.
You could hear the Eskimo bench calling for a face mask.
But it is going against the Eskimos. It's a hold back at the 55-yard line. So the Argos.
Holding, Edmonton number 19. Penalty applied from the spot of the foul. First down.
Beneficiaries here of an Edmonton penalty this time. Hugo Lopez, the holding call.
Lopez, number 19, in the middle of the screen. Was a pretty good grab on Ahmad Carroll.
Boy, it looked like a grab on the girl, too. Ryan Payton downfield. Got a piece of that mask. Giles, quick drop again. Far side, dangerous toss. Argos have the football. The Toronto Argonauts have the football back.
Jordan Younger with a phenomenal play to make that interception.
Watch this in the sunshine on the far side. Was the catch made, and then did Younger strip it away? Or did he make the catch? Look at this. He made that catch. What an interception.
A terrific play by the veteran Younger.
Look at this. As good as it gets.
And the lesson to the young receiver, Nate Kuhorn, keep coming back to the ball.
First turnover by the Eskimos. Will be a turning point here. Ricky Ray. Backfield again for Boyd, who has to spin. Marcus Howard drives him to the turf. May do some jawing. There's the veteran, the anchor, the free safety of the Argos secondary.
Well, you count on your veterans. On a young team like this, a lot of new faces. You count on a guy like Jordan Younger to lead by example, and he's done that.
Boy, dangerous toss, and almost a dangerous move by Younger too. He misses that. Nate Kuhorn gets up. If he makes that catch, it goes a long way. What a play. 2nd and 7. Ray, now he decides to go with it. Ricky Ray down near the 15-yard line. Takes a hit, decides not to hook slide, and it's a first down for the Argonauts.
Well, maybe Ricky Ray got tired of people questioning that mobility, huh? Just a good veteran decision here, picking his spots, recognizing that he's got a chance to pick up the first down with his team in scoring range.
A lot of the Argos might say it's just another game. This one's not just another game for Ricky Ray. Back in his old haunt, Chad Owens driven back. Good play there by new corner Joe Burnett.
Always tough to tackle Chad Owens in space, but Burnett does a nice job closing quickly before Owens can get going or even has an opportunity to give him a shake.
Now, last time they were down in this area, remember the holding call brought a touchdown back. They went to Spencer Watt. Watt's going to go to the top of the screen. Will they go to Watt? Where will they go? Maybe Barnes. Ray's in trouble again. Armando Sewell again. Another sack. Drives the Argos back, and the kick team comes out again.
The Eskimo defense, led in this case by Armando Sewell, comes up big. This looked like miscommunication along that Argonaut offensive line as they were switching on a twist between defenders.
It has not been a good return for Noel Prefontaine. 1 of 3. This one is good. Now the lead is 4 points. Argos have left a lot of points on the field.
Scott Milanovic has the look of a man who's lamenting a missed opportunity there.
Well, one guy who is probably sky high today is Matt Black. Became a daddy 2 nights ago. There's Ava Black. Firstborn. He and wife Erin. Matt got to Edmonton earlier today. So congratulations to the Black family.
His, not yours.
Mine too, if you like. Look at this play. Stephen Giles runs a funky option. Darius Bowman. How about that alignment? A lot of confusion back there. Not sure what you call that. And whatever it was, it worked.
And I'm not sure that one came out exactly the way it was supposed to.
There's one.
Stephen Giles wanted to go deep with that football. Couldn't get Greg Carr open. But Darius Bowman again picking up those yak yards.
Well, the 3-minute warning on the field. Still anybody's ball game in Edmonton. Tonight's game story brought to you by Mr. Lube. Get top to bottom maintenance and take good care.
Well, all eyes on the quarterbacks. 2 principals in the big trade. Ricky Ray, 251 yards and a touchdown in his return.
Toronto is challenging the ruling on the play. They claim that the Edmonton ball carrier stepped out of bounds.
Well, you heard Michel Pincinot as we went to break. Looked on the replay as we were going to break that Darius Bowman may have stepped on the sideline and stepped out of bounds. And Scott Milanovich is challenging this. Well, that would be it. And that was very close. Did he? This should
keep
tell.
an eye on the right foot here if we actually get a look at it.
Yeah, looks like he's got a piece of it. Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, again,
Conclusive.
this is one that I don't see getting turned over when what you need is conclusive evidence.
3 minutes to go in this game. Eskimos and Argos looking to open the season with a W here. Argos coming off a dismal non-playoff season. The Eskimos upstart season under Kavis Reed. Scott Milanovich takes over in Toronto, and a lot of work to do in the offseason. They went out and made some bold moves. Big trade. And now in the Battle of the East, it is going to be highly contested. So many moves and changes.
The ruling on the field is confirmed. First down.
So again, unable to conclude that Darius Bowman did indeed step out of bounds. So first down, Eskimos.
Needs some water off. Needs some water.
Now maybe some time management as well for the Eskimos. Will they keep it on the ground? Hugh Charles, they've again been using the short pass a lot here tonight against the Argos. Try to use as much time.
Aside from the Jordan Younger, he's done a good job taking care of the football here today, throwing high percentage passes.
I mean, that was a highlight reel interception. That's your worst turnover of the day.
Yeah, in the realm of giveaways and takeaways, that one was truly a takeaway.
Deep drop again. Giles firing. Looking for Kerry Coke. So now, after the Bowman gain, 2 plays, and now Burke Dales again. And so the Argos will get it back and have a lot of time to work with still. If there is a master of the 2-minute offense, it's the guy who wears number 15 for Toronto.
See if Ricky Ray, a guy who's had so many heroic performances here at Commonwealth Stadium, can muster one more.
Yeah, only for the opposition this time. Wells brings the clock down to 2:17. High kick, angling.
Here we go.
Now Owens. Only one way to go, and he squirms forward to the 18-yard line. Let's take a look at Ricky Ray's return to Edmonton.
I would say Ricky Ray's Argonaut debut has involved some ups and downs, certainly. Not always on the same page as the receivers. He's taken some hits along the way. But as this game has gone on, Ricky Ray seems to have settled into a little bit of a flow. The second half clearly better than the first. A few big plays along the way.
Ray, wobbly toss. Saying an incomplete pass. So now a key down here with 2 minutes to go. Ricky Ray not only here with the Argos, but also joined by his old tag team partner, Jason Moss. They did great things here together, starter and backup. Moss now the quarterback coach for the Argos. Here we go. Big down for Toronto. Ray, pump fake, pulls it back, Looks, decides to take off and will run for the first down marker, and he gets it, it looks like. He did. Ricky Ray was able to pull that football back and then take off.
Yeah, Ricky Ray's never been known as a guy who's been a yeller and screamer, neither on the field nor in the dressing room. But this is what you call leadership. With the game on the line, a guy who's not known as a running quarterback, but this is his team's only chance to get a first down and keep their hopes alive. Ricky Ray does what he's got to do.
Drive is alive. First and 10. And the 29. Ray's got time over the top. Chad Owens. Dragged down by Donovan Alexander. Free safety for the Eskimos. Owens yelling for it. Gets it.
Just recognition of that zone coverage for Chad Owens, knowing he's got to sit it down rather than keep coming across the field.
Owens in motion on the top of your screen again. Here comes the rush again. Ray, Jason Barnes hauls it in down to the 40-yard line. The ex-Eskimos connect.
And these two are on the same page all the way. Ricky Ray knows as soon as Weldon Brown passes Jason Barnes, as he goes out to take the flat, he knows he's got a window to get the ball there. Ball's in the air as soon as Brown took his hands off of the receiver Barnes.
You know, in the pedigree of a quarterback, the difference between the guys who win and have long careers is exactly this right now. What you do in this time. Ricky Ray's done it for so many years. Pump fake. Now has to take off with it. It's swallowed up. Lee Robinson is able to spy Ricky Ray coming out of that pocket. Gain of about 1.5 yards. Davis Reed has seen this show before, hasn't he?
Exactly the words that were running through my head, partner.
He used to devise defenses to beat. Davis Reed has seen this show before, hasn't he?
Exactly the words that were running through my head, partner.
He used to devise defenses to beat Ricky Ray and help devise an offense to make him succeed here. Here it is, coming down to the play clock, down to 2. Ray over the top. Corey Boyd. Down he goes. 45 seconds to go. 4-point game. Field goal's not going to do it. Here it is, ball game on the line.
Yeah, 3-down territory. 45 seconds to go for the Toronto Argonauts. 3rd down and about 6.5 yards they need here.
Corey Boyd, 11 catches, just 10 yards on those catches. Here it is. Ricky Ray needs 7 yards to keep the sticks going. Keep the drive going. Ray. Owens. No! Stopped! That will do it. 22 seconds remain. And Ricky Ray's return and possible comeback to Edmonton and comeback in the game is over.
Owens wide open against zone defense on that crossing route. Turned inside there by TJ Hill. JC Sherritt there to make the tackle.
What a performance from the Edmonton Eskimo defense here today. Ricky Ray's return, like Henry Burris's debut in a Hamilton Tiger Cat uniform last night, not a successful one. The two star quarterbacks who changed time zones take L's in their first games with their new teams.
Week 1 showed some glimpses for Ricky Ray as a Toronto Argonaut. We knew this was going to be a process.
And Stephen Giles, the guy who was traded for Ricky Ray, and all the talk about Ricky Ray, all the talk. Not a lot of people were talking about Stephen Giles. Guess who comes out the winner here tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is big for Stephen Giles as well. I mean, this has been one of the questions for him during his career, particularly going back a couple years ago in Winnipeg, where Stephen Giles had terrific numbers, except in the wins and losses column. Important for Stephen Giles just to win football games, and he opens 2012 with a big W as the Eskimos starting quarterback.
They'll tick it down here. What a boost of confidence for him. So many emotions running this week, certainly from the Eskimos, seeing their former star quarterback come back home. The guy who had so many seasons of magic here couldn't pull one out in the end. The Eskimos win on Ray Day near Canada Day. Win number 1, 17 more to go.
Kavis Reed, Eskimos head coach. The 5-0 start last season starts with a big win here. You see the embrace between the longtime battery mates, Ricky Ray and Fred Stamps. Good to see old teammates. Unfortunate in a losing cause.
And how about the performance of Grant Shaw? 4 field goals in this win. The final is 19-15 from here in Edmonton. Let's send you to Sports Center. Good night, everybody.